How's it going, everybody? It is iVisual. I hope you guys are having a beautiful day, and welcome back to another Pokemon Ultra Sun and Moon Wi-Fi battle versus Obie over here in the Monotype tier. So if you do enjoy these every single day, make sure to hit that like button on the video, and the team I'm using is in the description if you do want to try it out. Really fun Mono Fire type team with a Charizard Y, Infernape that is Choice Scarf, and a Trick, a Z move, Blacephalon, Psychium Z, and Lightning Rod, Alolan Marowak, which is really good versus Monotype Electric. So he leads off with Rotom Wash. It's a really good lead on his part because it can literally just hit everything on my team for super effective damage, but luckily he just clicked Volt Switch. I'm pretty grateful he didn't click Hydro Pump right there on my Infernape. So I'm Scarf Infernape, so I just U-turn on his Rotom Wash, and yeah, he brought in Zapdos. I go into Heatran because Zapdos probably has Toxic if you bring it in on a Rotom Heat, but he went for Substitute, so that's really scary because this is going to be a Sub-Toxic Zapdos is what I'm guessing. So I'm going to go into Marowak, predicting him to go for an Electric move, and he probably just has like Toxic, Sub, Electric move, and Roost as his move slots. So I'm going to try and get my rocks up here as he does go for the Toxic, which sucks because that puts my Marowak on the timer. One of my best Pokemon versus his team is on a time. So I'm pretty much going to have to sack a Pokemon to break his Substitute and try and scare out this Zapdos. There's no way around it other than sacking a Pokemon. So first I go to Rotom over here because maybe I can break his Substitute with a Volt Switch. That's what I'm going to try to do. If it doesn't, then I'm, like I said, going to have to sack a Pokemon, because Rotom is slower naturally than this Zapdos. I'm not running a lot of speed on this Rotom Heat as well. It's a pretty bulky Rotom, max defense with a Guava Berry, Overheat, Volt Switch, Defog, and Wisp. So that Pinch Berry does come in clutch. Unfortunately, I don't break the Zapdos' Substitute right there. So I'm, like I said, had to sack a Pokemon. So I decided to sack a Blacephalon. And also, the Blacephalon is naturally faster than Zapdos, so maybe he doesn't get the pair, the 30% chance to pair it with a Discharge, and I can get a nice hit off on the Zapdos. Because if he does, then maybe he can just substitute Fish for a para, or just knock me out with the next turn. But luckily, he did not get it, and I'm able to hit the Zapdos with a nice Fire Blast. Too bad I'm not Fire EMZ or Ghost EMZ. I would have done a lot more damage, or maybe even knocked out the Zapdos. Since the Zapdos is looking like it's going to be running like maybe almost max speed and max HP. I think that's the standard set for Monotype Zapdos. Like one of the standard sets maybe is running a Toxic Subset. I mean, Toxic Sub, you've seen that since like the beginning of Zapdos really in past generations. It's really nasty set to play against. But luckily, I did some good damage and he's scared out by Charizard Y. So he brings in Tiny Arms over here, a Alolan Golem, and a Alolan Golem, even if it's Choice Scarf, it can't outspeed me, but it was just Air Balloon. I saw the Air Balloon pop right there. So I could just go for the Solar Beam safely and knock him out. And that could have been scary if he was Custap Berry, because it is released in Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon now. And I would have been like maybe scared of that if I didn't see an item on him like Leftovers or that Air Balloon. So he brought a Magazone. I was scared of Scarf because obviously he can easily just go for a Thunderbolt on me, so I brought a Rotom Heap. But it turns out this is a Substitute as well, so great. I'm going to have to deal with 2 Substitute Mons, not just 1. So he could literally just keep on substituting over and over again if he wants to, and just like rack up all that toxic damage, but he actually doesn't. He goes for the Thunderbolt, so I'm pretty grateful for that, because I get the Guava Berry and I get a lot of HP back, so maybe he thought that Thunderbolt would knock out the Rotom Heat with toxic damage, I'm assuming, but that is not the case, and I'm able to live and get my HP back. So I go for another Overheat because maybe he stays in and I'm faster, but he goes into Rotom Wash, which is smart because, you know, obviously Rotom can take anything when I have -2 special attack, and he just racks up more toxic damage, and I have no switch into Rotom Heat, and also he can get the defog off because, you know, rocks hurt the Zapdos on his team and everything is chipped away at the stealth rocks. So I just go for Volt Switch, you know, just get some momentum. I'm slower than his Rotom Heat, so maybe he's running some speed on that. And I get to bring in Charizard Y, which can easily just go for Solar Beam and do a lot of damage to something. I was feeling a Fire Blast, but what if he just stays in a Volt Switches? Like, I don't really need HP on Charizard, but still at the same time, I don't want to miss, you know? It's a really crucial hit on that Rotom Heat, and plus I still do damage to something, and Zeraora does take that, but I do have a switch into Zeraora. I have a feeling he might be banded, so I go into a Alolan Marowak, and maybe he's locked into Plasma Fist. So he does go for the Plasma Fist, he doesn't go for a knockoff, which Zeraora does have in his move pool, and luckily I'm able to just, you know, be immune to that. So I just go for Flare Blitz. If he is not going to be banded, then Oh well, I lose my low Marowak. I don't have a switch into Zero, or I always have to bring in my Infernape and just like scare it out with my Choice Scarf. And just, you know, it's in range of Flare Blitz. So he sacks Magnezone, which is smart because Magnezone doesn't really do much anymore versus my team. Everything just hits it really hard, super effective damage, and it's not really fast versus my team too. So I'm bringing Rotom on the Zeraora again as he brought it in. I'm pretty sure he was just going to go for a knockoff, and it doesn't knock me out. I'm surprised he didn't just, you know, go for a knockoff again. I'm guessing it's because he doesn't want to give a free switch in to Infernape or my Charizard Y, because knockoff's not going to do a lot of damage to them, and he would rather have Rotom Heat in, and maybe just Volt Switch and knock me out right here, because Rotom Heat is a lot better matchup versus those Pokemon, and he can just choose whatever he really wants as well to come back in. So he brings in Zeraora again, so maybe he just wants to lock himself into Plasma Fist, but I bring in Infernape, which is Choice Scarf, and he should know that. I mean, looking at my team, it's looking to be Choice Scarf, unless you think... actually, no, I switched up because of Blacephalon. I did a Shadow Ball and Fire Blast, so yeah. It's pretty obvious Infernape is Choice Scarf. So I just go for the Flare Blitz. He brings in Cocoa Butter. It does take that, but it is weakened. Maybe even a close combat can knock it out. So it's looking like an Infernape sweep. And I was also on the hunch that this Tapu Koko was Choice Scarf, because I was like, what is Choice Scarf on his team? I'm not too sure. I was guessing the Tapu Koko. And lo and behold, I think it was, because he doesn't go for U-turn. He doesn't even like do anything to my lone Marowak. Now, to be fair, what else can it really do? Dazzling Gleam, Hidden Fire Ice, like, I don't know. Most Tapu Kokos have U-turn though, and maybe he would have went for it right there if he wasn't Choice Scarfed. So that's really good. Maybe he had Brave Bird, I don't know, because Tapu Koko can do a lot of things. Either way, I got the rocks up as he brought in Zapdos, and he goes for a substitute as I go for Flare Blitz, because I am not allowing this Zapdos to get a free substitute at all. I don't care if I have to sack my Alolan Marowak, even though it's a good switch-in versus the Tapu Koko. I think I could still win with Infernape, and Tapu Koko doesn't have a lot of switch-ins left with the Stealth Rocks up. So he's going to continuously go for the substitute. I guess he's scared of roosting because maybe Flare Blitz will knock him out. So that's pretty smart. But at the same time, it puts him in range of a Solar Beam from Charizard Y, which is really good. So now I don't have to miss, and everything's going to go down to a Solar Beam. He doesn't have a switch into Solar Beam on his team. Everything is weakened. Tapu Koko, Zeraora, Zapdos. So yeah, Charizard just comes in, hits that Solar Beam. I was really worried that it might not, but I was like, this is such a powerful move. 120 base power, half to 60. I do have Hidden Power Ice in the Charizard Y as well, but I mean, it's the same thing with Solar Beam, base power, and I mean, if he switches, Solar Beam is better too. So I was just like, he's probably not running max speed Zapdos as well, because if he is, then it's a speed tie too. But yeah, you guys saw that Zapdos went down to a Solar Beam. Either way, in comes the Zeraora, knocks me out. Plasma Fist, I don't need a switch because I need Heatran at max HP for the Tapu Koko. It's a max HP, max speed Heatran. 3 attacks with Toxic, I think. And yeah, I just bring in the Infernape on the Zeraora because it's Choice Scarf, like I said, and I am able to just get a knockout over here. He sacks Rotom Wash, which is smart because Rotom Wash doesn't do as much as Zeraora and Tapu Koko versus my team. Maybe he could have kept Rotom Wash versus Heatran though, because maybe Hydro Pump can do a lot and I can't do much back. I would have to go for like a Magma Storm to do some type of damage, and I can miss. I do have Flash Cannon, but I don't think that would beat a Rotom Wash. But I am actually naturally faster because I'm running max speed. But yeah, I go into Heatran on the Tapu Koko. I don't want to lose my Infernape to the Scarf Tapu Koko. He gets a pair on me, 10% chance, so I was really scared. And this is where the moment of truth happened, where I did not get full parried, and I'm able to live the second Thunderbolt under Electric Terrain, and I'm able to knock him out with the Earth Power. And I was like, yes, because now I should not be a Choice Scarf Zeraora. It might have been, I don't know. But I feel like maybe Charizard Y, no, there's no way Charizard Y doesn't go down to a Scarf Zeraora Plasma Fist. Either way, even if it was a good game because it came down to the wire right there, the 1v1 scenario, Zeraora versus Infernape, and Infernape wins the battle in a blazing glory. So yeah, that was a really fun game. I always loved playing Obie. He's really good at Monotype. I think I lose more to him in Monotype than anybody else. So it's always fun to play somebody that's good. So that's going to be GG to him, and very fun team to use with Monotype Fire versus Monotype Electric. So next up, we got another Monotype Electric versus Braden over here. And he has Sticky-West, most likely Mega Ampharos, probably Electric Train on one of those guys for Alolan Raichu. But look at Charizard Y, look at his team. Where's a Fire Blast switch in? Maybe Mega Ampharos? I mean, Hidden Power Ice could do a lot too, and I could just switch out into, like, not a little Marowak because of Mold Breaker from Mega Ampharos, but maybe something else like Rotom Heat. But Dragon Pulse would do a lot too as well. Also, this team I'm using is made by, I think, Ian? I don't know how to say his name. It's E-I-E-N. Ian? I don't know. But yeah, shout out to that guy or girl. So yeah, I lead off a little Marowak as I want to get rocks up first turn, and I'm pretty sure I can live anything on his team too, so that's why I just lead off with a little Marowak. He actually led off with a Lone Raichu, which surprised me. I didn't think that would be a lead. Maybe that's Folk Sash, but he brought in Luxray right after. He gets that Guts boost, and I have no switch to Luxray, so I was like, okay, maybe I could live a hit, and nope, I just go down to Crunch. I don't have a switch in, so I didn't want to catch a Facade if he wanted a Facade if I switched. But I mean, who Facade's a Ghost type, you know? But just in case, you never know. Because everything on my team is pretty important versus his. So I go into Charizard Y, as Charizard Y has no switches, so I just click that Fire Blast, and yeah, Luxray just goes down. I could have missed, but you know, I'm a risker, I like to risk things, and just speed up the game as well, because it's more entertaining, instead of, you know, going slower for you guys. So I stay in versus the Jolteon because I was like, you gotta be Specs to knock me out. I know that for a fact, and he is not Specs, he's Life Orbs, so actually he could knock me out Thunderbolt, but he went for Full Switch, that's really good. I don't know why I stayed in. I could have switched into Rotom Heat right there. Maybe he could have predicted that I went for Shadow Ball, but either way it worked out, and he rode the Rotom Mow. I missed a Fire Blast, so that wastes the Sun turn, but hey, I hit the second one, so that's really good. In comes the Jolteon again. I decided to go into Rotom Heat again because I do, this time not again, because I do want to keep the Sun for Charizard Y and for the other Pokemon in the back, because a Scarf Flare Blitz looks really nice versus his team, and just overall in general, keeping the Sun up for my Fire type attacks. He just does not have switches. So Rotom Heat takes Jolteon's attacks pretty well, and in comes the Galvantula. He doesn't want to take Overheat to the face, so he sacks Galvantula. He wants to keep Jolteon for my team because it does outspeed it, like everything, except for a Scarf and Fernape, so unless I go for the Z-Trick Blacephalon, which I probably might be able to. Either way, in comes the Lone Raichu. I don't need to stay in because I can just go into Charizard as a sack, but he gets the Electric Terrain up, so his speed is off the charts. Now it's doubled with the ability Surge Surfer. So I gotta be careful now. So Charizard Y is the sack of choice because looking at his team, it dies to everything. So obviously Monotype Electric, what are you gonna do? So I go into Heatran, and I could have predicted the Z move. I'm pretty sure this was the Z move on his team, but I was like, Heatran maybe lives it too, because it's max HP. Heatran, when you're max HP, you probably live anything, except for a ground move, obviously, or any stab move that is super effective. But this is not a super effective hit, and I live on 5 HP. But of course, you know, the Z move always paralyzes. That's the effect of the Z move, so it's funny. Heatran actually gets paralyzed all 3 games. I'm going to show you today. Poor Heatran. Gets barely to do anything except for winning that first game. Earth powering that Tapu Koko. Good job, but you were the sack fodder for a Lone Raichu, and also allowing him to not Nasty Plot up. So, bring in Rotom Heat, and I'm able to live that Psychic right there, which is huge. I was really scared that Rotom Heat wouldn't live a hit, but I do. And I go for Volt Switch because, yeah, I just want to bring in my Blacephalon, and Electric Train does go away, and maybe I can get a Beast Boost Bite. Maybe I should have just went for the Overheats right there. I don't know, but I do want to keep Rotom Heat for the Jolteon healthy, so yeah. Maybe Overheat didn't knock out his Lone Raichu. Maybe I should have, I don't know. Maybe he switched. That's what I was scared of. I think he might have switched out and brought in Lone Raichu again on my Rotom Heats if I went for Overheats, like sacking a Pokemon, then he got Electric Terrain again, then he probably just won versus me. So yeah, that's why I Volt switched. So I brought in Blacephalon, he Electric Terrained, which is awesome because I get to knock him out with Shadow Ball. I don't think he can knock out Blacephalon from one shot anyways, but yeah, it's good for his electric types in the back. I sack Rotom, he gets a crit, which maybe mattered, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't matter because Rotom was a sack. It really just matters for Life Orb damage, but either way, Infernape comes out, and I just go for Close Combat. No reason to go for Flare Blitz because I know that's a Mega Ampharos in the back, and it's a Dragon type when it Mega Evolves, so Flare Blitz is not going to do too much, and I want to do maximum damage to Mega Ampharos so that Blacephalon can just knock it out with Shadow Ball. So if this was like a max defense Mega Ampharos, maybe that could be bad because maybe he could take a Close Combat and then a Shadow Ball, but Blacephalon's so dang powerful, I doubt it's going to take a Shadow Ball after Close Combat. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I can really do. There's no other game plan other than that. So I go for the Close Combat. He hits me with that Thunderbolt, and it's all up to Blacephalon. Will Blacephalon be able to knock out the Mega Ampharos with the Shadow Ball? And yeah, it definitely will because there was just no question about it. So that's going to be a GG versus Braden. So this Fire-type team does not mess around versus Monotype Electric, but Monotype Electric is definitely a cool type to be using because not a lot of Pokemon have super effective hits against it, you know? You gotta have ground types. Unless you're using a secondary effect. Not effect. Type, of course. So next up we got is versus Pain over here. He has Monotype Ghost. And I was thinking, okay, maybe it's going to be Mega Sableye, and maybe even a Trick Room team, because I know Ghost types do like to run Trick Room and Monotype. He does have a really bulky, slow team as well, so that's why I was like, okay, maybe it is. I'm not too sure. But either way, no switch it to a Fire type, so it's going to be fun clicking that Fire moves. I don't know why. It's just really satisfying to just spam Fire type attacks, and everything just drops. It's very, very satisfying, because there's just no switching. So I'll lead off with Charizard Y, gonna get that Drought up real quick. As it leads off with the Dusclops, I can go for the Fire Blast and two-shot this Dusclops. And I was actually scared, because doesn't Dusclops learn a Rock type move? Maybe he has a Rock type move and just boss my Charizard Y, but Dusclops has really bad attack. But he just goes for Trick Room, so it was Trick Room. What I was guessing, looking at his team, because it's really slow. Like, you could kind of guess, like, what team is so slow and then it doesn't have Trick Room? Probably just like a stall team. So maybe a stall. I don't know. I mean, he doesn't make a Sableye, probably. Either way, he hits me with the Toxic, and luckily I do not miss the Fire Blast right there, and I'm able to knock out the Dusclops, which is awesome. And in comes Silvally Ghost. This thing could have Rock Slide, but I just stay in. But he just goes for a Parting Shot, so that's pretty good. I get a Fire Blast on something else on his team. And he brings in Sableye, so I'm like, awesome. Because regular Sableye is so frail, it's going to take so much damage from a -1 Fire Blast in Sun, and it almost one-shots it, which is insane. So I decided to just go for the Fire Blast again. He gets that Prankster Recover off, but you saw how much that first one did. It's not going to live the second one. Luckily I didn't miss too. I kind of risk it, you know. I just like to risk it, and plus if I can knock out the Pokemon, just go for it. You know, speeds up the game like I said. So in comes Paddle Sand. I go into Rotom Heat because Rotom Heat can dodge Earth Power. I could take a Shadow Ball, and maybe I could Wisp, but I can't Volt Switch though. And Overheat could do a lot to Palisand, but he could just shore up on the Overheat. Maybe he goes for that. I just go for Wisp because it's just not a chance. I need that extra chip on him, and maybe Overheat doesn't do nothing. But he goes for Shadow Ball, and looking at the damage, I was like, okay, maybe he knocks me out with Shadow Ball over here. And if I go for Overheat, he knocks me out. And I want to get the Aguav Berry from my Rotom Heat, so I'm going to keep Rotom Heat and go back into Charizard, get that Sun up, and have no switches to Fire Blast. So that's exactly what we're going to do. He goes for the Shadow Ball. I'm able to take that. No critical hit, which is awesome. And, yeah, I'm able to just go for Fire Blast. He has no switching, like I always say. Wait until you run into a Monotype Water type, or I guess a Rock team. Obviously, every typing has their disadvantages, so you just got to hope that you don't run into it pretty much. It is a matchup based in Monotype most of the time, at the least, unless you have a really, really good team. So I go for Solar Beam because I didn't want to miss Fire Blast. I remember, because I think it knocks out Palisand. But he brought in Dusk and Water, and I'm able to just go for Fire Blast after Solar Beam and knock him out. But Charizard Y is going to go down to the Toxic, which sucks, because that's my baby, Charizard Y. So strong. But now I'm able to bring in Infernape, the Choice Scarfer. He brings in Mimikyu, the Disguise Mon. I don't want to get Z move, so I just go for U-turn, because he could just throw off a Z move and blow back Infernape. So yeah. But he brought in Silvally, so he's smart enough to know that I'd probably U-turn and break his Disguise and probably sack something to the Z move. So Silvally, I just go into Heatran and just go for a Magma Storm. It's going to do a lot of damage in Sun, but Silvally's pretty bulky, and it takes it. And it Thunder Waves me, like I said, in that second battle. Heatran gets paralyzed 3 times in a row for each battle. So that's pretty funny. Poor Heatran, like I said. So he goes for a Parting Shot. He's fast for me because of that Thunder Wave, and he can go into pretty much anything and hope that you know, I get full parried. But I go for Flash Cannon because I don't want to miss Magma Storm. I can't trap a Ghost type too. Ghost types are incapable of being trapped, so Magma Storm doesn't work. And plus, you know, even if you go for Magma Storm, Parting Shot should just, you know, let you leave, just like U-turn and Volt Switch. But Palisand can Earth Power me, so I switch out because I want to keep Heatran. Maybe it could be good for the Mimikyu and even the Silvally, so I go into Marowak just as a sack. Maybe I could take the Earth Power, but I don't. That thing blows me back, so that's unfortunate. Maybe I could have got like a Shadow Bone off on his team or something. So I bring in Blacephalon, no switching to Shadow Ball, and yeah, everything is just going to go down to Blacephalon. Or, I mean, not really. I mean, he just has no switching because he can bring in the Mimikyu, and obviously I don't want to lose Blacephalon to the Mimikyu just yet because I want to keep Blacephalon for the Palisand. I'd rather sack the Rotom Heat to Mimikyu. It could be dangerous though if he's a Trick Room team, not Trick Room team, Trick Room set Mimikyu, because that is a set I've seen before. I've even ran it too as well in the Monotype tier. So luckily he just Shadow Claws right there. I thought he'd go for Shadow Sneak, to be honest. Maybe, I don't know. Probably not. He probably would have Swords Dance there. But really lucky that he Shadow Clawed because I get the Guava Berry and I'm able to restore all that beautiful HP. So he actually goes into Palisade, I get that nice overheat off, and yeah, he's just in range of another overheat. So he's going to get knocked out by Rotom Heat. So that's really good. Overheat to Rotom Heat. It would be cool if Rotom Heat learns some more Fire type attacks. What do you guys think about that? The Rotom forms learning different type of moves for their specific forms, like Rotom Heat learning Fire Blast, Flamethrower, Rotom Ross, learning Scald, which would be insane and really, really good. And like Rotom Mow learning Giga Drain or something. I don't know. Either way, I don't go for Wisp because I just want to break the disguise and go for Volt Switch and bring in my Infernape and just go for a Flare Blitz because maybe it goes down to a Flare Blitz, but Mimikyu unfortunately takes that. And it's pretty scary because he is at +2. So maybe I should have Wisped him. He is going to go for the Z move. Blow back Infernape. Now, if this is going to be Shadow Sneak, it could be a problem because it can knock out my Blacephalon. But I think Rotom Heat max defense should be able to live a hit from Mimikyu. So that's what I'm going to bank on versus him. And since he is Mimikyu Z. Oh, no, that's a Mimikyu Z. That's Twinkle Tackle. I don't know why he's not running Mimikyu Z. Isn't that more powerful than Twinkle Tackle? Maybe just doesn't have that. I'm not too sure. But he actually has Drain Punch. So I know his entire move slot. It's Play Rough, Drain Punch, and Shadow Claw. No Shadow Sneak with Swords Dance. So unfortunately, he doesn't go down to the Volt Switch. I didn't want to miss Overheat or Will-O-Wisp. So that's why I went for the Volt Switch. And I'm able to bring in Blacephalon because he doesn't have Shadow Sneak. He had Drain Punch. So yeah, that's really awesome. He didn't have that because he probably could have won, maybe. I don't know. Well, I still had Heatran, right? Yeah. So maybe I could have lived a hit with Heatran at +2. Yeah, I think it lives a Shadow Claw. So that's going to be it for the battles today. Really, really fun teams. Definitely check out the team. The link is in the description for the Pokebase for that. And if you do want to Wi-Fi battle me, my Discord is in the description if you do want to you know, check out other people's battles and stuff like that, because I have a battles channel. And yeah, you can just battle people over there, and you can message me if you want to battle there as well. So thanks for watching. Appreciate all of you. And yeah, that's going to be it. Peace, peace, everybody.